should climate change be our most prominent issue politically? From my point of view, as somebody who works on the law and policy of climate change, the answer to that question is unequivocally yes. And I suppose there's a few reasons for that. The first is that there's really no other issue that our politicians deal with that poses real existential threat to the future of our planet. Think about that for a moment. This is the one issue, more than species extinction, more than other forms of pollution, more than pretty much any other environmental issue. This is the thing that could actually end life on Earth. And that is a mind-bogglingly profound burden to place on decision makers today to take action. The other reason why I think it should be a political priority is because it has such significant justice and equity dimensions for future generations. This is a situation where only if we take action and take a little bit of pain now will we spare future generations the pain that we're inflicting as a consequence of climate change. That makes it a very difficult political question, but it highlights just how important it is. Some of you may have heard the expression that we inherit the earth from our ancestors, but I think it's actually better to think that we borrow it from our children and from our grandchildren. And you know, when you borrow something, you want to return it in the condition that you found it in or better, and that places a heavy burden on us. If we think more pragmatically, rather than in those sort of lofty ethical ways about why it should be our highest priority, there's a couple of really important features of climate change that are really important to bear in mind. The first is that it's irreversible on any kind of timescale that humans can come to terms with. What we're doing now will be in play for the planet over thousands of years. Now, when you think about the ancient history of human civilizations, we only go back sort of several thousand years. And we're talking about setting a course for human history into the future that's equivalent to everything that we've lived in the past. And I think that when you're talking about decisions that are going to be made over the next just decade, that really highlights that importance. It's also the case that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The more we invest in preventing climate change right now, the better we will be in the future. So prioritizing everything on climate change now will really make sense economically, socially, politically, environmentally, in probably just 50 to 100 years from now, not just in hundreds to thousands of years from now. Finally, it makes sense economically. If we do this shift, if we achieve these kinds of zero carbon, low carbon economic strategies, it will actually help us in the long term. Yes, we need to find ways to transition high carbon intensive industries right now, and we need to find ways to support the communities that are dependent upon those industries. But in the long term, renewable energies, ones that come from free resources, are surely going to deliver us the long-term economic strategies that will help us not just avoid climate change, but to have a strong and resilient and sustainable economy as well.